Hello, hello. Happy May. We've made it to May. I'm so excited for what God is doing and continues to do, um, and how He's continuing to speak to us and let us know what's going on, what's ahead, and what needs to be done. May, when I was looking up the word May, the word May alone, it expresses possibilities. It's expressing permission. That's what the word may means. To express possibility, express permission. It's a month of possibilities. Just alone, the word may means month of possibilities. I don't know if you guys feel like me about May, but May just feels like an intense month every year. I mean, I have so many people whose birthdays are in May. We have Mother's Day. There's all kinds of celebrations going on. Um, there is, it just feels very intense. I feel like it just feels like nonstop going. May just has always been one of those intense seasons for me, where it just feels like we're bouncing like it's spring, we're springing out. And so, count it not strange that the word May means expressing possibilities. It's the fifth month of the year, and you know what five stands for, and it's expressing possibilities and permissions, a month of possibilities. So when I was asking God about what was this May about, and I didn't get this word till last night. But when I logged on, it said your oil change is due. And I was like, ooh. And so when I was looking it up, I was like, that's the word. I just knew it was a word because I couldn't shake it. So I woke up uh, and God gave me a whole word about us changing our oil. And I was like, okay. So I, of course, did what I did, just like I do for the month of May, look up the word. An oil change. And I was like, I want to just see what it says about an oil change. I know what an oil change is, but I want to look up and see what oil change means. An oil change is the process of removing old oil from a vehicle's engine and replacing it with new oil and a new oil filter. And I was like, wow, that is so deep. It's removing the old oil from our engines and replacing it with new oil and a new oil filter. Even the filter part was very important. It stood out to me that we are going to need a new oil filter in this season. You see, oil breaks down over time, making it less slippery and less effective at lubricating parts. Regular oil changes can improve your engine's performance, extend its longevity, and help your car achieve its peak gas mileage. Regular maintenance is essential. It improves your mileage, decreases harmful emissions, extends the life of your engine, and leads to a better motor performance. And I heard, just like in the Bible with Elisha and the widow's oil, I hear the Spirit of the Lord saying He is going to provide you with enough oil to do all the things He has asked of you in this season. But it's going to take some oil changes. And so when I was reading about what the oil change does for the car, it improves your performance. That means the things that God has called you to, the things that God has asked of you, when you get this oil change, it is going to improve your performance. Sometimes we get the vision before it's time. And so many times I feel like if God gave us all that oil at once, it would just be so intense for us that we wouldn't know how to handle it. So I do believe in, everybody doesn't have to believe the same thing, that He gives you oil based on what your assignment is. And so with all these assignments changing, count it not strange that He's saying that your oil changes due, because we're switching seasons. We're switching into something new, which requires new oil for that new assignment that you're going to. That new territory requires different oil than you had before. And if you're operating out of old oil with the new assignment, you're not going to be as effective as you would be with your new oil, because the oil breaks down over time. So where a lot of people are saying they're tired, they've been toiling and they've been doing all this, and so your oil breaks down and it's less effective at lubricating parts. It's less effective. But regular oil changes. So when God says it's time to change the oil, it improves your performance. Why? Because you, even with oil, there's different type of oil, there's different cars, and so it improves your performance when you're using the right oil. It extends your longevity. That means it gives you the endurance. Because just because you're moving to new territory doesn't mean it's just going to be easy. It doesn't mean that everything's going to go smoothly. So you need fresh oil to improve your performance in this season. A lot of times people get burnt out. They're tired. They're worn out. They can't go on because the oil, it's like you need your oil change. It makes so much sense when God puts it this way. And you can achieve your peak mileage with your new oil. So God is saying that we need, and this should be a part of our regular maintenance, just like with a car. It's essential to keep getting your oil changed, and that leads to your better performance. So, like in the Bible, what I was saying earlier, he provided the widow with enough oil to do all the things that he asked her to do. He said, I'm going to give you this oil. And just like cars, believers need spiritual oil changes too. The good thing about ours is, with us personally, in cars, we got to pay for it, but it's already been paid for with us. So this is something that's a maintenance requirement that we don't even have to pay for. Just think about it. It's free of charge, and we still don't take advantage of it. It's already been paid for by Christ. So, in the Psalms, it says, I shall be anointed with fresh oil. Fresh oil. We don't want that old oil. And the other thing God brought to my attention is oil changes don't just have to stay with the person. Oil changes come to your business, your church, your family. So there's new oil coming to different things. It's not just you personally. It could be the things that are attached to you, that there's oil changes that are coming. In the Bible, Paul delivered many messages to churches that could be considered something like an oil change. So he would deliver these messages to these houses, and he would refresh their minds and refresh the minds of leaders. And I would consider that to be an oil change. He's saying, this is what we need to do in this season. He would anoint people, lay hands, do all these things, and go out to these places and these churches and give them oil changes. I know that just like with our cars, consider this month being the month that your check engine light had came on. Because I know some of you guys, that check engine light probably been on since last year. I don't know, because when you go into cars, I'm one of those cars who my car is lit up in the inside too. So no judgment here. My car be lit up. It be lit up. So I know some of you guys, just like your car, you're lit up too. You're lit up. And I know some of you guys are way past the due date. And the sticker on your window, it probably said a couple months ago. So count this as your warning, your alarm, your new light. Act like the light just came on, and you are going to get your oil change. So I want you to start out this month thinking, where do I know I need the oil change? Because some of us already know where the oil needs to be changed. What is required of me in this season? What do I need to do, whether that's fitness, food, anything? Just think of the concept. You need new fuel. That's the same as food. Food is different fuel too. It does things different for our body. God might be calling you for an oil change for your appetite, your diet. There's all kinds of things. So I want you guys to really take the time, because these are the moments we get closer to God, because we can't do it without God. That's what he's trying to show us. We need his oil So the oils, he's saying your oil change is due, but that's not because it's our own. It's because he wants to give us new oil. So stop and think about all the things that he's already said to you. And then ask God, when was the last time you had an oil change? And then just say, God, when was the last time I had an oil change? And say, I want the new oil. And pray for new oil for this new season. Pray that you get fresh oil. Pray that you're anointed with fresh oil. Have that conversation with God so you can move in. We're already halfway through the year. So to me, if God is saying we need our oil changed and it's due, a lot is coming and we're going to need that oil. It's going to be very important in the next half of the year that we get the fresh oil. So make sure you stop what you're doing and ask, because a lot of people are operating in old oil and they don't have to. You have not because you ask not. And so I just want everybody to know that God is trying to change our oil. He's saying the oil change is due. He wants us to run to the optimal efficiency of how we're supposed to run. It doesn't always have to be such a struggle. So stop and think this month, with May being the month of possibilities and permission. May means expressing permission. That means you have permission now to do what you're assigned to do. You have permission. You have all the possibilities ahead. Just don't waste it with old oil, because it's going to be a month of possibility, but we're going to need the new oil. So check in with God, talk to him, but it's time for your oil change. The oil change is due. Now, what are you going to do with that? I love y'all. Have a good one.